Retirement planning advice is everywhere. Save more, invest wisely, make sure you claim Social Security the right way, understand the rules of the road when it comes to Medicare. But just as important as knowing what to do, it's also important to know what not to do, because one wrong move can undo years of careful planning. Today, I'm going to break down the 5 most common retirement planning mistakes that I see and tell you how you can avoid them. And spoiler alert, none of them involve buying lottery tickets. I'm Michael Baker, and for nearly 20 years, I've been helping couples plan for retirement right here in the Carolinas. I've seen some great strategies that help build confidence, and I've also seen some what were they thinking moments that created unnecessary stress. My goal is to make sure that you avoid these mistakes so that they don't trip you up. The first big mistake, ignoring healthcare expenses. Yes, once we retire and we're over age 65, we get to have Medicare, and Medicare does help. But most people still don't fully understand what Medicare can cover and what Medicare will not cover. So as you get ready for retirement and you're planning for retirement, have a good, sobering look at what healthcare costs are going to look like once you retire, and make sure that you plan for those expenses accordingly. Remember, healthcare inflation tends to outpace normal inflation. So not only do you want to be accounting for your healthcare expenses, things like Part B premiums, Medicare supplement premiums, anything that you would be spending out of pocket, prescription cost, anything that's not covered by Medicare that you're covering on your own, these expenses need to be taken into account. And you need to be thinking about how medical inflation or healthcare inflation impacts these expenses over time. Mistake number 2 is claiming Social Security too early. Every workshop that I've ever given on retirement, when I ask people, what's the earliest age you can claim Social Security? 100% of the room gets the answer correct. We all know that age 62 is the earliest that you can claim your Social Security worker benefit. And many people are very tempted to claim early. I want to stress that claiming early tends to be a suboptimal strategy unless you have very specific circumstances that are unique to you. So I would encourage you, look at how you can coordinate Social Security and maximize or optimize that benefit for your household. Remember, early claiming locks you into a lower payment for the rest of your life. Remember, if you are married and you have the higher Social Security paycheck, your paycheck is also the surviving spouse paycheck. And having the highest earner claim early tends to be, at least in my view, the cardinal sin of claiming Social Security benefits. You want to make sure that we maximize the benefits for the household over 2 lifetimes. That's the strategy you should pursue when looking at Social Security. Mistake number 3 is chasing returns or chasing hot investments. One of the biggest mistakes that investors of all ages make is looking at performance and determining that's how they're going to allocate their dollars. Chasing returns tends to look like someone picking their investments based on what they did last year or the last 2 years. But that's driving forwards, looking in the rearview mirror. The same with chasing hot investments or hot stocks. Sometimes stocks can really have a nice run up and what we call they go to the moon or they're popping right now. And that's exciting, especially if you own those stocks. But there's this phenomenon where people will pile into a stock that is really going high. Well, that piling in drives the price higher. Markets tend to correct this over time. So if you are already looking at something and you're a late adopter, the chances are you may even be late to the party. Now, this isn't about investing per se, but this is about how investing in retirement is a little bit different than we're trying to build wealth. You don't want to make gambles or speculative bets with your retirement money. Sure, I think it's perfectly okay to have a play account or have an account that is not material to your overall retirement income plan, where you try out some of these things. However, there are times where we've seen people have highly concentrated stock positions or be significantly overweight a sector just because that sector's been doing extremely well. Understand, sequence of return risk and downside market volatility can set retirees back years, may even set you back where you won't be able to recover. So don't fall victim to this mistake. Mistake number 4 is forgetting about inflation and forgetting about taxes. One of the biggest mistakes across the board is when people think about their income, they don't incorporate what it's going to take to defend that lifestyle over the course of their retirement. Inflation is a silent killer of wealth. Even at a modest 2 to 3%, which is not historically abnormal, over a 20-year period, it can erode a huge percentage of your overall purchasing power. If you think about this mantra, and we give this when we do workshops, I tell people retirement, you're thinking about 2 people for 3 decades. So if you're married, 2 people, 3 decades. Well, 30 years is a long time. Even at modest inflation, that is going to seriously erode the purchasing power that you have today. So understand that your lifestyle that you want today has to be funded and protected against inflation. Also, don't forget taxes. Taxes are part of the equation anytime we're looking at investments or withdrawals from retirement accounts. So you have to understand that inflation and taxes are going to be a significant piece that you must consider when you're planning. Don't forget them. Mistake number 5, not having an income plan. It still amazes me the number of people that we consult with who are doing so many great things, but they miss this critical step. They don't have a formal plan or a written retirement income plan. Many retirees think that they're just will pull money out when they need it, or they'll just systematically liquidate from this account or that account. This is a recipe for disaster. Without structure, there's risk of overspending. There's risk of withdrawing from accounts in the wrong order. There's risk where creating taxes may not be necessary, but you create tax bills that are unnecessary. Having a structure gives you a blueprint to follow. And a really good income plan is going to be flexible enough so that you can make adjustments and course corrections as your priorities change, as your needs change, or as your desires change. Having a plan does not mean being inflexible or setting things in stone. What it does is it gives you a blueprint with some guardrails to follow so you can stay on course. Also, those questions that arise during your retirement years about funding vacations, helping grandchildren, maybe having an unexpected expense or something come up, having a plan gives you something to measure and weigh those decisions against so that you can see that you're definitively still on track or you need to make course corrections. That's the beauty of having a plan. It's what turns retirement income planning from stressful guesswork to confident living. Most of these retirement mistakes aren't dramatic. They're not huge, but what they are small mistakes that when repeated can snowball and compound against you over time. Of course, this isn't a comprehensive list of mistakes, but these are the most common mistakes that I see when people are planning and preparing for retirement. Watching out for these mistakes is just the beginning, but I think can have a tremendous impact on your overall retirement plan. And if you agree, like this video. Want to make sure you avoid these mistakes in your own plan? Remember, retirement is not about getting it perfect. Retirement is about smart, consistent choices and avoiding mistakes. What's the biggest retirement mistake that you've seen or that you've heard? Let me know in the comments.